everyone, and welcome to the second day of the Bijou Theatre's Summer Acting Camp Virtual Edition. I'm Miss Ash, and I'm here to lead you through a series of exercises and lessons. Today, we'll be focusing on our voice. Now, why is it important for us to be heard when we're on stage? Well, we want our audience to be able to hear what we're saying. That way, they can follow us along on the journey that we're sending them on. So, you have to make sure you fill the entire space, all the way to the back seat in the house. It's important, however, to make sure you're not forcing your voice, because we don't want to injure our vocal cords. So, you have to make sure that you're connecting your breath with your voice in order to not strain it. You also need to remember to have good posture, to learn to breathe from your diaphragm, and to be relaxed. I know that's a lot of information, and you may be asking yourself, how do we get there? Well, we start by warming up our voice and our mouth. It's important to warm up because your body is an instrument, and you want to make sure you use it properly, as not to injure yourself. With that being said, find your own space in your room, spread out, and make sure you're not hitting anything when you stretch your arms and legs out around you. You want to make sure you have plenty of space to stretch and move. Now, standing shoulder width apart, I want you to breathe in and breathe out. This time when you breathe in, bring your hands up above your head. And when you breathe out, let your hands fall to your side. This time, we're going to breathe in with our hands up. And when we breathe out, we're going to bend at the waist, all the way down, until we're hanging over. And maybe you can touch your toes. If so, that's awesome. If you can't, that's okay. Just hang there for a little bit. Sway to the side. Don't force anything. You don't want to pull a muscle. Now, we're going to stand up, but I want you to listen to exactly how we'll do it. We're going to roll up our spine. You'll start by dropping your knees a little bit. Tuck your butt in and slowly roll up your spine, one vertebrae at a time, starting at the very bottom. So we're moving up the vertebrae in front of our stomach and our ribs, and then our chest and shoulders, and then your neck and your chin. So the head should always be the last thing to come up. Now, we're going to stretch our head a little bit and our neck. Look over to the right side with your head, feeling a nice stretch over in the side. And then look to the left. Now come back center. Now, we're going to look to the right. Now look to the left. Maybe you're hearing some cracking and some popping. That's okay. That's why we warm up. Now, come back to the center. Now we're going to do a head roll. First, you'll drop your chin to your chest, and we'll roll our head very slowly to the right, and then very slowly to the left. I have a lot of neck pops when I do this. Now, bring your head back up into the center. Now let's roll our shoulders. First, start by rolling them backwards. Oh, that should feel really good. And then, roll them forwards. If you want to alternate, that works. Now, we're going to shrug our shoulders all the way up. And all the way down, release them. And then bring them up to your ears, really, really, really tight. And then we're gonna drop them and release them. And one more time, shoulders all the way up to your ears. Bring them all the way up, make it tight, and then drop them and relax. Oh, that feels really good. Now, we're gonna take our right arm and we're gonna cross it over our chest for a nice little stretch. Oh, yeah. Then, do the same thing with your left arm. Bring it up and over and cross it over your chest, feeling a nice stretch in the back of your arm. Now, put your arms straight up in the air. Stretch as high as you can go. Reach for the sky. Get up on your tippy toes, because you can't reach all the way without getting on your tippy toes. Alternate arms as you climb into the sky, making sure you feel a nice long stretch on each side of your body when you raise your arms into the air. This should feel amazing. Okay, now drop your arms. Take a big breath in with arms going up. Big breath out. And we're gonna drop it to the floor. Okay, so let's start by putting our feet together, straight out in front of us. And let's bend from the waist, not the back. You don't want to hunch your shoulders, but try to bend from your waist and see if you can touch your toes. If you can't, it's okay. A lot of people can't. Most of the time, I can't. But if you can, see if you can go a little further in that stretch. You should feel this in your hamstrings and the bottom of your legs. It should feel good. If it doesn't feel good, release your toes a little bit. Remember, you don't want to hurt yourself, you just want to stretch. Now, let's open our legs. Right leg out to the side, left leg tucked in, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to lean from our waist over to the toes. Just lean into it and breathe and feel a nice stretch in your legs. Now, let's switch feet. Let's bring our right leg in, stick our left leg out to the side, and try to sit up tall, and from the waist, bend, and see if you can touch your toes. Again, feeling a nice stretch in your leg. Now bring your legs together for the butterfly. You don't have to drop your knees all the way down to the floor. That's not that important. It's just important that you're feeling a nice stretch inside your legs. See if you can stretch them a little lower. But remember, don't hurt yourself. Take a big breath in, and then let it out. Let's do that again. Big breath in, and a breath out. Good. Okay, very carefully, I want you to bring your feet around and underneath you, get on all fours. Once you're here, you're going to drop your butt back on your heels, put your arms out in front of you, and go into child's pose. And drop your head. You should feel a nice stretch in your lower back. I really like this pose. And now, we're gonna make what I like to call a Halloween kitty. So you're gonna come up on all fours, and you're gonna stretch your back, your spine, all the way up to the ceiling so that you look like a scared little Halloween kitty. You should feel a nice stretch in your back. Now, you're gonna tilt your butt out and up towards the sky, and you're gonna drop your shoulders, and you're gonna bring your neck out a little bit, and I like to call this one the moo cow. It helps if you can picture the animals in your mind. So let's make a Halloween kitty. Stretch your back and your spine. Oh yeah, that feels good. And now a moo cow. This time, we're gonna pretend like we're the animals. And when you make your Halloween kitty, I wanna hear your Halloween kitty sound. This is mine. And my moo cow. Good job. Now, let's go back into child's pose. Take a big breath in. Just sitting here for a while, feeling a nice stretch. Okay, and now we're gonna bring our feet underneath us, very slowly, keeping our head down, and we're gonna do the same thing we did before. We're gonna roll up our spine. Start with your feet, shoulder width apart, and your butt and your legs will come up first. Your head should be the very last thing to come up. So tuck your pelvis in and roll up that vertebrae, your belly, then your chest, and then your shoulders, and then your chin, and then your head. Should always be the last thing that comes up every time you stand up. All right, now we're gonna stretch our face muscles because guess what? They need to be warmed up too. So, for this, I want you to stretch your face and your mouth as wide as it will go, making a lion face. And then shrink everything and make it as tiny as it will go, making a sour lemon face. So you have a lion face and a lemon face. Do that one more time. Lion face and a lemon face. Good. Now, let's raise our eyebrows. Can you raise one eyebrow at a time? I can't. But can you? Well, let's wake them up. Let's see. Okay. Now wiggle your nose a little bit. Because you know what? Your nose needs to be stretched out, so just move it around. And then, let's move our lips. It kind of helps if you think about chewing a piece of bubble gum. We're stretching all these muscles out because we're about to use them. Now, do a little bit of everything. Move your whole face. Stretch it all out. You're gonna look really silly, but you know what? That's the point. All right, and then shake your shoulders, shake everything out. You should feel nice and relaxed, nice and warmed up, and nice and loose. Now, we're ready to begin. To start with our vocal warm-up, it's important for you to remember that you're going to want to pause this video in between each exercise that I go over. That way, you can do it on your own. So to start, we'll just begin by humming. It helps if you want to think of a tune. Make sure you're going up and down with your voice. It helps if you can think of a siren. If your voice cracks like that, that's okay. We're warming it up. We're not pushing. We're going very slowly to get it nice and warmed up. Once you've hummed for a little while, you'll want to puff your lips like a horse. Take some time to do that. Then you'll combine the humming and the puffing so that it sounds something like this. Going up and down like a siren. Next, we'll wake up our tongue, our teeth, and our lips by focusing on our consonants. Consonants are sounds that are not vowels, and they'll help you with articulating words and enunciating them. That way, we can hear the whole word. So, we'll start out by making a B sound, a D sound, and a G sound. And then we'll put them together. B, D, G. Budiga, 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 budiga. Once you have these sounds, we'll practice the P, the T, and the K sound. P, T, K. Patika, 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 patika. Now we want to alternate these sounds. Budiga, 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 patika, patika, patika. Budiga, 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 patika, patika, patika. Budiga, patika, budiga, patika, patika, budiga. Try to do them slowly and then try to do them quickly. One of my favorite things to help with my enunciation and my articulation is to work on tongue twisters. These are some of my favorites. Blue, black bugs bleed blue, black ink. Red leather, yellow leather. Tip of the tongue, teeth, and lips. Toy boat, toy boat. Round the rough and rugged rocks, the ragged rascal ran. Practice these tongue twisters, making sure you're focusing on your consonants, hitting all of those t, k, k's, and b, d, g's. Practice on your own. Now we'll begin to connect our breath to our voice. So just yawn without making any sound. It should look something like that. Now, I want you to yawn again, this time taking a breath as you release your yawn. It should sound something like this. Now, I want you to yawn, release the breath, and add a sound with your breath. It sounds something like this. The final part of our vocal warm-up is to check in with our jaw. So just go ahead and massage it a little bit. Because if your jaw is tight, then your sound can't travel out your mouth. So we want to make sure it's nice and relaxed. So take some time to gently massage your jaw. Don't force anything. If you think it's nice and relaxed, a good way to check is to clasp your hands in front of you and just give them a little shake, relaxing your jaw. and your jaw should move up and down on its own if it's relaxed. It would look something like this. You'll probably look silly doing it, but that's okay, because we're working on relaxing our jaw. If it's not relaxed, that's okay. Continue massaging it. Once it's nice and relaxed and it's moving, try to add sound when you do that. It would look something like this. Try it on your own. A fun exercise that you can do at home to help you warm up your voice and your breath is called the human orchestra. You'll want a piece of paper and a pencil because you'll be making a list of every musical instrument you can think of. These could be symphony instruments, these could be rock and roll instruments. Any instrument that makes a sound, I want you to write it down on a piece of paper. Now that you've written your instruments down, what I want you to do is pretend that you are that instrument and go down that list and practice making the sound that you think that instrument sounds like. For instance, drums, to me, would sound something like this. Ba-bum, 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 bum, bum. Take some time going through all your instruments and making all their sounds, making sure that you're hitting those consonant sounds and you're remembering to breathe. Welcome back. When we think about our voice, one of the things we may not think about is how it's connected to our breathing. Breathing, we do it every day, but it's not something that we think about. So we may not be aware that it's there until it's not there. For instance, if you run out of breath or you gasp for air. As a beginning actor, you may have the same relationship with your breath. You may not realize that it's there until it's gone. You walk out on stage, you get a little nervous, everything tightens up, and guess what? So does your breath. If you can control your breath, you can control everything. So you want to pay attention to it. When you control your breath, you can control your vocal technique, you can control your body, and you can control your nerves. If you're in control, you can breathe. So if your breathing is tight and shallow, you won't be able to express yourself physically or vocally to the best of your ability. So breathing is key. In order to check in with our breath, let's first make sure we're checking in with our posture. Everything should be aligned, meaning everything should stack on top of each other. Your feet should be about shoulder width apart. Your knees, you don't want them bent too far, and you don't want to lock them. You want just a nice little bounce there. You want to make sure your pelvis isn't sticking back, and it isn't sticking forward. It's right over your feet. Your chest, you shouldn't be slumping forward, and you don't want to stick it straight out. You just want your shoulders to be out to the side, and again, right over your pelvis. And your chin, you don't want it down too far, and you don't want it up too far either. You want it directly out in front of you. Something that helps me check in with my posture and alignment is to imagine that there's a string coming right out of the center of my head, and this string travels all the way down the inside of my body. And if I was to pull on it, everything comes up and lifted, and it helps me remember if I'm aligned. Notice that when I pull my string up, my chin stays right out in front of me. If I pull it back, my chin goes up. So make sure that when you pull your string, you're pulling straight up. Hopefully this helps you remember that everything should be going straight up and stacked on top of each other. Once you're nice and aligned, take a moment to check in with your breathing. Where's your breath coming from? Is it coming from your chest? Is it coming from your shoulders? Does anything move when you breathe? See if you can drop your breath all the way down into your stomach or your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is right underneath your lungs. Breathing from your diaphragm will give you a deeper, fuller breath, allowing you to produce more air to speak your text and get the words out. Actors need as much air as possible to speak their text. So, let's do an exercise to make sure that you're breathing from your diaphragm. We're going to lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. Let's put one hand on your chest and the other on your stomach. Why are we lying down? Well, you're most relaxed when you're lying down. It's also easier for you to see your stomach moving up and down. Now I want you to take some time to breathe in slowly. In and out. You want the hand on your stomach to move much more than the hand on your chest. Take some time to breathe from your diaphragm. Now, stand up, keeping that hand on your stomach. And once you're aligned, can you still feel your stomach moving in and out? Or do you notice that you start to breathe from your chest? If you are breathing from your chest, see if you can drop your breathing to your diaphragm. This should help you recognize the difference between chest breathing and abdominal breathing. Imagine that there is a candle in front of you. You can even hold up one finger in front of your mouth and pretend it's a candle if you like. As you breathe out, blow the air out through your mouth very slowly. Feel the air on your finger. Imagine that you are blowing enough air to make the flame of the candle flicker, but not enough to blow it out. You will need to blow very softly. When you breathe in, imagine that the flame of the candle flickers and leans toward you. And as you breathe out, the flame flickers and leans away. Imagine the flame of the candle moving in and out with each breath you take. Now, we want to learn to project our voice, remembering that we're never pushing it or yelling. We're using our diaphragm and our breath to pull the sound out and aim it towards the back of the room that you're acting in. I have a little trick. If you always pretend that there's someone in the very back of the room, then everyone in the theater will be able to hear you too. A great way for you to practice projecting at home is to speak the text. So for this exercise, you will need your lines of dialogue baggie. With this, you'll take a line of dialogue, you'll read it, and you'll want to memorize it. So read it a few times. When you have it, pick a space in your house to practice projecting that line of dialogue to, making sure you're enunciating and you're using your diaphragm to pull your voice and your breath out. Now, pick one location, and then when you're done practicing that, Pick a location behind that. See if you can throw your voice to different parts of the room and at different distances. Take some time to do that on your own now. Another thing to remember when using your voice properly is to relax. A very common reason for low volume in actors is because they aren't entirely confident in what they're doing. Maybe they have forgotten a line, or maybe they're just nervous. So when you practice your lines, if you can also practice keeping your body relaxed, it will help. If you have stiff muscles, and if your posture gets all hunched over and nervous, this will keep you from projecting and using your full potential of your voice. I'll now take you on an exercise that will help you with relaxing. Imagine that you are lying at the edge of the ocean. There's a gentle breeze blowing over your face, your hair, and your body. Even though your eyes are closed, you are aware that there are a few puffy clouds drifting by. The sun is smiling down on you, just warm enough to feel friendly and relaxing. The waves are so close, they almost tickle your feet. Can you hear the sound of the waves? Each new wave comes a little closer until a wave actually washes over your feet. The water is surprisingly warm, and it relaxes your feet. You feel the water move over your feet, massaging your toes gently into a more relaxed state. Now comes another wave, and it reaches to your knees. Your calves are relaxed along with your feet. The next wave relaxes your thighs, your calves, and your feet. You take a deep breath, feeling the warm sand beneath you. Can you feel it with your fingertips? It supports your weight perfectly, like a feathered bed. The next wave rolls up to your waist, then down your thighs, your calves, and your feet. The sound of the ocean eases away all of your tension. The next wave covers your belly. And the wave after that reaches all the way up to your chest. It makes you feel a little heavy as your body drains all the tension away from your chest, your belly, your stomach, your thighs, your calves, and your feet. The last wave covers your arms, your shoulders, and your neck. Your whole body feels totally relaxed, sparkling a little, like the sand beneath you and the sun on the waves of the ocean. Lie there, breathe deeply, and relax on the beach under the sun, listening to the birds. When you're finished, I want you to open your eyes very slowly and stand up very slowly, feeling relaxed, refreshed, and at peace. Believe it or not, you have a lot of different voices inside of you already, and you can probably change your voice without even realizing it. To prove it to you, we're going to do an exercise. For this exercise, you'll need your bag of characters. Take some time to pull a character from your bag and see if you can change your voice to sound like that character. If you've drawn a child, maybe you change your voice to sound really nasally. Or if you've drawn a tough guy, maybe you drop your voice and you sound really serious and low. Or maybe you've drawn a crazy scientist and you talk in different tones like this, getting louder and louder. See if you can practice speaking like different characters and changing your voice. If you need some help with lines of dialogue to say, grab your lines of dialogue bag and use it for this exercise. Hopefully, by now, you've finished writing your script. If you haven't, that's okay. Take some time to go finish writing it, because once you're finished, it's time for a read-through. A read-through is when all of the actors of the play get together and they read the play aloud, but they only read it. They don't incorporate any movement or even any sort of emotional state yet. They're just reading it. See if you can read your play aloud and practice the things that we worked on today, connecting your voice to your breath, enunciating, articulating the words, projecting, and using good posture. Read it several times by yourself, with your family, and once you've read it several times, read it again, because reading things aloud over and over again help you to memorize your lines. So, take the rest of the day to have fun reading your script aloud, changing your voice, working on the characters. What do they sound like? You get to bring them to life. So have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow when we work on movement.